Live. I'm Josh Fenton, CEO and co-founder. It is a little rainy and gloomy outside, but we've got something to pick you up. It's Wednesday. It's the best part of the week. It's Mott and Chace Wednesday, and we've got Marion. Marion, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's jump into it. There's lots. What I love about this segment is there's always new numbers, always new things to talk about. Meet the Press this weekend. The chief economist from KPMG, she was on. She was talking, Diane Swank was talking about, the national position for housing and interest rates up and all the competing issues. And it's like, oh, it's crashing and crashing. You look around some of these cities, especially in the South and in the West, and you see significant declines in the median price of a single family home. In Rhode Island, you're not seeing that. You're actually seeing the median price of a single family home rock solid, if not going up month over month. What's the factor here that's keeping our real estate market so much stronger, at least longer, than other parts of the country?
A few things I'm thinking. One is we still have very low inventory, and Rhode Island is extremely desirable. So we've got people that are shopping. They weren't able to buy 6, 8, 9, 12 months ago because the competition was so stiff, but they're still looking. And people in Rhode Island are sticking. They're staying in their house. They are not putting a for sale sign in the front yard because part of it, I feel like, is they're looking around and hearing this devastating news about the market. We're not experiencing it. It is still a seller's market in Rhode Island and nearby Mass. We've got a lot of people from Mass still wanting to come in and live in Providence and live in Rhode Island. The beach market is still busy, even though it's slowed down a little bit, obviously, since we're into October. But a lot of people were looking and they couldn't buy because the competition was so stiff. But now competition is thinned out somewhat. There's still multiple offers on most houses, but our inventory is low and our values are holding.
Yeah, Kim, I was looking at the Greater Boston Realtors Association. It's that 70 communities around Boston. The median price, if we think our 410 is a lot of money, 410, 415, whatever it is, up in Boston, the median price of a single family home in that Greater Boston area is $795,000. Isn't that also a little bit of the secret of our success, which is, listen, there's just so many young couples up in Boston. You've got to make a tremendous amount of money to be able to pay for functionally an $800,000 house. They're going to keep coming down to Providence, into the east side, into Barrington, but even other places, Patuxent and other places around the metro area, and look to buy down here.
Yeah, Rhode Island is so easy, Josh. It is an easy place to live. The city is walkable, it's manageable. We have a fantastic rail system, so you can live in Providence or Pawtucket, or even Warwick nearby. Even South County, you can get on the train there. You can just jump on the train, do some work, travel to your job in Boston, and so many of these folks now are 2 or 3 days in the city, and then the rest of the time they can work from home. Wouldn't you love to pay almost, not half, but wouldn't you love to pay 30% less and live in Providence, in this great little city, jump on the train, have a pretty great quality of life, more money in your pocket? You did remind me, between last year and this year, buyers would need to buy the same house, they would need a $40,000 raise. Think about that for a moment. I know.
Say that again.
I know.
Just walk us through that again.
Between buying, say, a $500,000 house last year and buying the same house this year, buyers would have to have a $40,000 increase in their income. And typically increases are in the $2,500, $2,300 range a year. That's the impact that the rise in interest rates have made for buyers. If you're not a cash buyer, it's a lot more complicated. So if you can be a Boston, employed person to just jump over the border and be an hour on the train for such a huge savings, cost of living, not just to buying the house, but cost of living for taxes, for buying food, for your utilities, it's all going to be lower here. So it's a huge reason I think people are coming in, and the city is still booming with busy sales.
Kim, talk a little bit about, are you seeing any differences around the state? Obviously, the east side is still very vibrant. Newport, which I track all the time, is incredibly vibrant. Houses go in nanoseconds down there, even in the off season. But are you seeing any places in which there's a little bit of easing of the pressure, maybe prices are a little bit more flexible, and the time on the market is a little bit longer?
So actually not really, because our inventory is so low. I don't want to scare people at all because there is a place for almost everyone in the market. You know, if they might have to adjust their if they really have to buy and they want to buy, they might have to adjust a little bit to move, you know, a little bit outside the exact zone where they want to be. But I haven't seen much sitting unless, you know, I say this, we call it aspirational pricing. If someone went on the market so high that they just believed, you know, I can do anything, you know, I can fly, I can do anything, and they put their house on the market so high, those are really, buyers are resisting that. But most people are listening to their agent and they're putting the house on at a good price, market value, and getting either a little above asking or asking. Not that much going below asking, unless the price was a little bit wrong in the beginning. And some houses that need a lot of work, those could sit a little longer.
Kim, what's the 30-year mortgage rate now? And you know, listen, I'm not asking you to be a KPMG economist, but what's your sense? You've been doing this a little while. You get a sense of where things are and where they're going. What's your sense?
So right now, just under 7, 30-year, 15-year is a little over 6 with a point, and a 5-year with an arm is in the 5s with 2 points. So right now, for most people, 30-year mortgage just at 7, maybe a little bit better if they have all the other factors: a great credit score, down payment, no PMI, private mortgage insurance.
Right.
Where's it going? It's so tricky because I'm looking at the rest of the country and I'm hearing, you know, market crash, real estate's down, prices are changing, and in Rhode Island we just are not seeing it. So I feel like with our lack of inventory, we are going to be in a good position for sellers to keep selling, and buyers are still going to have to pay good prices, solid prices, not the prices that we had, you know, a year ago or even 8 months ago, but good solid prices, no great big bargains. And they are going to have to contend with the interest rate for a while. It looks like economists are saying it's going to continue to go up. So the last time rates were higher, 2002.
Yeah.
We were right around this point actually in 2002, and they were at their very highest at 16 to 18% in 1981. So we are right now kind of in line with 2002 rates where they were considered starting to get high.
Kim, let me just ask you this. Are we still in a seller's market, or are we at, I ask this pretty much every week, but I'm looking for when the inflection point is. Is it fair to both sides, or are the sellers the ones with the big muscles still?
So I think it is still a seller's market, especially in some areas like you mentioned, Providence, Newport. Actually, we're still in a seller's market. If the price is housed right, if the house is priced right, it is still a seller's market. Buyers are getting the benefit along with the curse. So they're getting the benefit of prices not being bid up as high, 20, 30, 40, 50, in some cases more over asking, but they are not getting the benefit of sort of a big drop like you're seeing in other parts of the country. They're contending with this interest rate. So that's the challenge. I don't think it's going to be a true buyer's market where you can, you know, houses are sitting on the market for months. Sure. I don't see that in Rhode Island because, again, the inventory has remained so low.
Last question, and this is, you know, the cruelness of this upward swing and how much prices is for first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
What's your advice to a first-time home buyer? I mean, if you thought it was bad a year ago because prices were so high, prices have remained the same or gone up, but your cost of borrowing has doubled. I mean, what do you say to them?
So the first thing I say is, do you have a new pre-approval? Just because things have changed so much. And as I mentioned, your pre-approval from 6 months ago probably needs to be readjusted unfavorably, unfortunately. They are getting a little bit of a benefit. I think about 8 months ago, 10 months ago, and more, when you put on the house on the market for, we'll just say 500, and it sold for 620 or 600. You were really competing with 15, 20 offers. Now buyers are, it may go over a little, but mostly we're in this, this asking price 5 to 8% over. Buyers are going to be able to buy, and it's almost better, or at least the same with the interest rate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. There's a little more honesty in the pricing, and you're competing with 2 or 3 people. You're not a cash buyer, but you're still in the game. A year ago, you were competing with 20 people, probably 10 of them were cash buyers. You're out of flexibility. Everybody else has got flexibility. You're in a no-win situation.
Right. So their buyers aren't losing. They aren't. It's not easy, but they aren't losing. There's a place for people in the market. Spread out your search a little bit. Maybe the aspiration of having the $800,000 house becomes more like a 700 or a 675, however that works for you in your spending pattern, or wait. But what we know for sure is that property ownership is the fastest way for a family to grow a financial portfolio and build wealth. So even in a market like this that's challenging and that has been challenging for buyers, it's never wrong to own property. It's always going to make you wealthier in the long term. You have something to pass down to your kids. You have something to borrow against. You have something that you own that's going to increase in value over time that you can sell later and make a profit on. Whereas if you're renting, rents are so high, you're probably not doing yourself a favor renting. Even with the possibility of not having a 20% down payment, you will have to pay PMI insurance, private mortgage insurance. You might still be better off extending to a purchase a little bit rather than renting. That is how families build wealth, and that is how wealth is passed down, and that's going to be good for your family.
And listen, if you're trying to get a sense of, I just want to make this offer to people who are watching, if you want to get that sense of, what's renting like versus home ownership, I have a tremendous amount of leaves on my front lawn. If you want to come over, clean up those leaves, just get a sense of home ownership, I'll extend that opportunity at no charge to anybody who's watching this. So
you're always the superstar. You're always working for the people.
Kim, Marion, thank you so much. I love Wednesdays. I love when you join us. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for taking the time. For everybody else, stay tuned. Obviously, we're just a couple weeks away from the election. A lot's going on there. Jill Biden is in town, the First Lady. Dr. Biden will be stumping both for a Seth Magaziner and for Governor McKee. And if you haven't read it, there is a major piece on GoLocal, about a 4,000-word story about DOT Director Peter Alviti and his role in the 610 contamination of the Olneyville neighborhood. Take a look at that piece. It's quite extensive and tracks a lot of behavior by the chief executive over at the Transportation Department. Everybody stay safe. If you haven't gotten a booster, you got to get a booster, and you might as well get a flu shot at the same time. Be healthy. The poor children are getting clobbered with this lung infection, and you want to stay out of the hospitals right now. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.